right, so we're going to continue on with 3B, and now we're going to work on making multiple maps for each year, so we can go through the years 2005 through 2010. So the first thing we need to do is to kind of import and copy over this layer symbology, so all the maps are using the colors and the ranges in the same way. So in the contents panel, we're going to right click that Illinois County and click copy. Then we're going to right click the Illinois map name and click paste. So then we have two layers, and we're going to rename the top layer 2005 and the bottom layer 2004. So we go in, we right click on our layer, and we find, there it is. It's always at the top, and I always go right over it. And then we're going to click right here on my Illinois map name and paste. So now I have two. And again, as mentioned, the top one should be 2005, the bottom one 2004. So you can either click on the name, you can right click on it to rename it. Okay, so now we have our two layers. So then our next step is we need to import the symbology. So we're going to select the 2005. We're going to go to the symbology pane and click the options button, which sometimes it's referred to as the hamburger menu. It's these three lines. Okay, so make sure 2005 is selected. I'm going back to the symbology, and we're going to click on this import symbology. Now, as your geoprocessing pane comes up, again, what you want to do is you want the input layer to be 2005, you want the symbology layer to be 2004, and you want to make sure that you're using the value field and that your source is the %4 or the year 2004, the one we had just done. And you want to make sure that your target field is the %5. So that's going to be the new one that we're going to be doing, and then you're going to click on run. Okay, so again, we have our 2005, and just going back, we want our 2004. You have the value field, and again, this might be hard to see. I can make it a little bigger, or you can click on it just to make sure. And remember, the source field should be the %4, and the target field should be the %5. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. And make sure you get the percent and not the number. All right, so I've got my %4, I've got my %5, and now I'm going to run. Okay, now we've got that. I'm going to kind of make this a little smaller here for a minute just so I can, there we go. We've got Illinois back. Okay, and so again, what you should see is if you turn on and off the two layers, you should see differences between the two. I'm just going to close that geoprocessing for a minute. And then, so see, we've got 2005 and 2004, but if we turn off the 2004, turn it back on, turn off the 2005, turn it back on, you can see we really do have differences here. And remember, when both are on, whichever one is on the top is the one that's going to be displayed. Okay, so again, you can turn the layers on and off to kind of see what's there. Okay, so now you're going to continue the steps 1 through 6 5 more times. You're going to do, you always copy and paste that 2004 layer, so always go from that one. And you're going to then rename it. You're going to do 2006, 2007, and so on, and make sure you just change all of that. So then at the end, and you'll notice here is showing you what the different maps should look like. And again, in the end, you should have all of these layers here. Okay, so go ahead and work on that. Also, as a side note, I recommend before you go on and do the other layers, I would save your project right now. So that way, if you mess up any of the other layers, you can at least always come back and have your original preserved. Okay, so once you have all of those, you should have something kind of like this. You should be seeing each one here should be the percentages. If they're saying something else, like percentage 4 or something else, then it means when you were doing the geoprocessing, you might have had something go wrong. Again, here, this is just showing you how my last run was set up. So you can kind of see that. Again, if your colors aren't looking exactly right, you might need to go back and look. You might have accidentally hit a number here instead of percent. But now you should have all of this. Now we're going to take a look at something called, and here again are all the maps so you can compare them. I compared them each time I did them. And again, before going on and doing anything else, if you've got all that set, I would save before going on. All right, so now we're going to use the swipe function to compare layers. It says turn off and collapse all layers except for 2004 and 2010. And then you're going to use the swipe function, which is with the layer 10, it's in the context. And again, it says appearance tab here. That's that feature layer. All right, so let's go and first prep this. So we want to collapse here and turn off. And you just click on this little button here so we don't see anything. There are some shortcuts. I'm just doing this the long way. So we've got our 4 and our 9. Okay, and we want to make sure that 2010 is the one that's selected. Okay, and then like I said, and you're going to click and press and hold the mouse button while dragging the arrow down, and it'll kind of go back and forth. So again, you can play with that. It's really nice when you're doing like an animated movie. So here, 2010, remember it's not the appearance tab, it's a feature layer. You can turn on the swipe. You've got this arrow. You notice if you're at the top, it's pointing down, you drag, and see now you can look. You can see there's a huge difference between 2004 and 2010. You can also, if you notice you move to the middle, the arrow changes the other way. You could also swipe this way as well. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, now we're going to add some more data. Again, we're starting to see how this data is playing out, and we have some more information. So we're going to add the Illinois medical income layer, LYRX file. And again, a layer file is kind of like a shape file database in that it has a data set associated with it, but a layer file itself has the symbology or the symbols already set up. Now, as mentioned here, the big thing is you can create a layer file from really any base data set. So, you can right click and you can go through here and, create the layer file, but understand that the layer file itself is only going to have that information. So you would always need to have the data set as well. That's why ArcGIS has the concept of packaging, which if you remember when you're in ArcGIS and you go to that export, that only gives me a static map. But if I actually need to look at your files in some aspect, that's where you go into the share. And remember, you can share a project, you can share a map, you can share a layer. And these are those packages. And in fact, for this particular activity, don't forget you're going to be, when possible, creating a package project for me. Again, sometimes when you run this, there might be an issue. And if it won't let you package it, you can always try to package it as a map, or remember, you can just share this to the online and get it to me that way. Okay, so I'm just going to close this geoprocessing, and I need to open up my, I need to add that layer. And again, I need to do that from my data source. So if you don't see the catalog over here, I can go to view, give me the catalog pane. Go back to my app here. Okay, so now let me just close this a little bit. And in our folders, again, you're going to want to find in the data that IL med income layer file, and you're going to want to add that. Remember, you drag it over. Okay. And again, you could create the layer file if you want to for the 2004, 2010, just as practice. That's up to you. Okay. So once you do that, it says, do you see a clear correlation between income and 2010 obesity rates? So again, you can look. If you play around with this, you're going to see that what the different values mean, the bigger the income. So where you have the big dots, you see as much with the, with the red, or do you notice that the really low incomes are in a lot of the reds and oranges? So is there a correlation between these two? All right, so that's it. Again, when you get to the end here, you're going to want to, before you go on, make sure you share your project with me. And ideally, you need to package the project. I recommend call it Exercise 3B. And again, ideally, you want to save it to a file and download that. If you're having problems with that or it's not coming through, we can always try that online. All right. Take care.